What's up everyone, my name is Rocio and today I'm going to share with you my experience with a coding bootcamp. What I'm going to cover is how much it was it worth it, the technologies that were covered, and why I would recommend going to one. So I will add that before going to this bootcamp, I did get a bachelor's in computer engineering, but the problem with that is I didn't have projects or a GitHub portfolio and I struggled with the technical interviews. Because of that experience, it did give me a leg up because I kind of had a general idea of what to expect, and so I had the confidence to keep studying and keep learning. So because I had struggled to find a job, even with a computer engineering degree, I started to network so that I could find people that were already in these jobs and I could ask them for advice. After going to one of these workshops, I went up to the speaker after they gave their spiel on technology and how it affects the world, and I asked them, well, what can I do? Like, what kind of boot camps do you recommend? Because they had actually said, be careful with these boot camps because they're just gonna take your money and they're not gonna teach you. And seeing as she had said that, I thought she would give good advice. And she recommended Wyncode, which is in Miami, Florida. And that bootcamp attracted me because it was in person and their slogan is the art of code. And so I like that they incorporate art. I feel like that also helps people who are not always just logical be motivated to also study code. So after her recommendation, I went online, checked it out. I looked at the staff, looked at the technology stack that they learn and teach. And I was really excited because these are things that I had never learned about in college. I did have to apply for a loan to cover it since it had been 6 months since I graduated from college. I didn't have an income, but somehow I still got approved. I started that program in 2019, and some of what was covered in that bootcamp was the very basics, which is always great to learn. How the internet works, how Git works, how to use Git, and the DOM, which you will learn of once you start web development. And we covered JavaScript, React, and Ruby on Rails. And the way that Wyncode structured it is that we had a midterm project, so it really kept the students engaged. So you weren't just learning things and doing quick homeworks, you were actually gonna build something, and that was like one of my favorite parts. They were showing us what we could apply our skills on. And so it was very exciting to see like a real website built from the very minimum things. Now the final project, that one was a little more intense, and I will say it was a little stressful. It did take about 2 weeks to finish it. The cool thing is you do get to work in groups, and the benefit of that is that you get to learn what it's like working in a work environment, because unless you're freelancing, you're gonna need to learn how to communicate technology, ideas, where you are in your project to other people in the team. So it is 10 weeks long. But the reason I haven't mentioned the length of this bootcamp is because there is no real length when it comes to learning how to code. The biggest takeaway from the bootcamp was that, okay, yeah, you're gonna learn how to code in 10 weeks, but what they're really trying to teach you is how to gain the work ethic to keep learning and to keep doing projects on your own. So if you have this idea of like, oh, I'm gonna do a bootcamp and then go get a job like immediately, that's not always gonna be the case. But a lot of the people that graduated from that bootcamp kept working. They either worked on their resume, devoted some time to applying to jobs, and then still continuing to practice their technical skills in the case of the interview process that can include a technical interview. So I think one of the reasons that people join boot camps is because they want a guaranteed job after they graduate. And I will say that with this boot camp, they do help you with that. Now, I actually didn't use their job finding services until after getting my first job, because I ended up getting a job that was related to my computer engineering degree. But then once I was considering a job in web development, I contacted a career group and they worked with me. They looked at my resume and they helped me create a rebuttal to their offer letters. I was debating between the company where I was doing more engineering focused work versus the company that I was actually more excited to work with because it was web development. And I'm really grateful for that, because if it had not been for the bootcamp, I would have stayed doing computer engineering and not loved it the way that I love web development. And I would have thought that I'm not meant to be in this field. So even after they helped me find a job, what I also like is that I still stay in connection with team members and I still stay in connection with what they're doing today. So I built a network of people that I can always ask questions to. So for example, when I moved to a new city, I learned that there was an alumni that lived there, and I just hit him up on Slack and he gave me information about the new city, and I felt like 10 pounds lifted off my shoulder because I was gonna move about 17 hours away. I moved from Miami to St. Louis. And that was nice. And that had nothing to do with technicality. That was just the whole changing an environment. So you might think that you're going into a bootcamp to learn technical skills, but you're also going to gain a network. And you'll be able to contact these people anytime. And these are also people that you can ask technical questions about later. You can catch up with them like, oh, what are you doing in your job? So it helps to have friends in the field, because if you don't, then you kind of feel alone, you feel lost. And that's also the importance of networking. So who do I recommend a bootcamp to? Now you might look at my story and you might think, oh, you had experience. But I do recommend it to any beginner, because it's a way to get your foot in the door and to get your feet wet into something that you've never explored. Studying technology can be very frustrating. You'll find that out right away, that sometimes it can take up to 2 days just to set up. So if you got any value from this video, make sure to like and subscribe, share it with a friend that might benefit from this information, and stay tuned as my next video will cover how to choose a bootcamp.